So let's do this. Let's start with the wow-o-meter, or as some people call it, the wow-ometer.
The wow-ometer or the wow-o-meter?
Yeah.
What is it?
Depends on where you were born, probably.
Deep thoughts here. Yeah. Deep thoughts. I know. The listeners should chime in here. Is it a wow-o-meter or a wow-ometer?
I think in Michigan it would be the wow-o-meter. I think we would have probably gone that.
You would have gone the wow-o-meter?
What about the Northeast?
I
New
think
Jersey?
Jersey would have been the wow-o-meter too. They'd be like, hey, let's bring out the wow-meter. I think that's what my Jersey friends would have said.
Pete did think that maybe the wow-ometer would be more of a British spin on it.
Right.
You know,
it's a little too easy. It flows off the tongue. It sounds proper, but I can't say it all the way.
Hello, the wow-ometer. Bust out the wow-ometer here on the first preseason week.
Okay, look at you.
I don't think
You're
I've
hanging
ever
out
done
with your soccer friends.
Exactly.
There.
It has become easier after
doing
more Premier League stuff. All right, so let's break out the wow-o-meter on the rookie quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Preseason debuts. We'll start with the number 1 overall pick.
Right.
And that was Bryce Young, who did not look as small as he did that first time we saw him in practice.
Right.
I'll say. He still looked pretty small. But I don't think he looked as small. Do you disagree with me?
Well, no. You know what? I will say, in the game uniform, he did not look as small as he did in the practice uniform. Something about that game uniform, maybe the way it fits. The practice one can be a little baggy at times.
I don't even know if he was wearing shoulder pads or the big shoulder pads in practice.
I know. You're right. You never know either. They could be wearing those fake ones that are pads there. But no, it wasn't like, hey, he looks small. We know that. We just got to get used to that. But it wasn't like, oh, my gosh, this is ridiculous. Now, I will say when he gets hit, it looks a little ridiculous, right? I mean, he gets hit, it's a noticeable jarring shot to the body. It's hard to sit there and evaluate a lot from what Bryce Young did. I mean, the Jets D-line, and didn't even play their full array of starters, is real. You know, there's one thing I know just from seeing the Hall of Fame game and being on the field and pregame warmups and then seeing that game right there. The Jets D-line is not only real, it's deep and versatile to go along with it. They had issues protecting that group. I mean, Jermaine Johnson, Will McDonald, it didn't matter. I mean, Solomon Thomas hits him the first time he drops back to pass. Right. Hey, this is good learning experience for him. I know he can play the game. Those are the things I want to see, though, as we go forward here. You know me. I never doubted his ability to wheel and deal and, hey, arm angles and do all that. My thing is what we saw in the game a little bit. And you know, you're on the worst team in football or the team that picked first in the draft or whatever. You know, it's not a great team, right? That you're going to have moments like you saw there where, the middle of the field's covered, the pocket's collapsing. Now you got to make a power throw outside, back shoulder, fade down the sideline, whatever, with people around you. And knowing you're going to get hit and don't brace for that hit to where, you know, you don't brace and it affects the accuracy, right? So those are things that we'll continue to watch from him as we go forward here. But certainly one thing that I'm concerned about with him,
Didn't see him a whole bunch. He was 4 for 6 for 21 yards, did take a sack. He was able to kind of protect himself, it seemed like a couple times.
Right.
And so that was good, and he's going to need that ability, right? But you wonder what if he has a situation where he can't protect himself. Matt Corral came in after that, had 6 drives, was 15 of 22 for 126 yards. The highlights they showed, though, were all of him getting either sacked or fumbling. I didn't see a whole lot of those completions for Matt Corral.
When he took over for Bryce Young, this is where the same themes continued.
Yes.
Him, nobody open, people around him, right? He had a fumble sitting there waiting for somebody to come open down the field one time where he's just sitting there and you go, hey, man, come on, you got to have a little awareness. You patted the ball 2 or 3 times. You know, they finally got it going after maybe his 3rd or 4th drive in there where they started to settle in. Jets started to play people deeper down the line, and now they got protection there. I will say this about Corral. His arm is phenomenal. His release is phenomenal. They were very basic on offense in what they did in this football game. So they didn't do anything to really help their quarterbacks. That was literally just, hey, let's get out there. Let's get used to the environment. Bryce Young, here's the process of a normal game day, all of that. And they'll go from there. You know, I would think week 2, now we'll see maybe some more game planning plays, some things that Bryce Young does really well. Let's make him look a little bit better. Let's set him up for success that way. I think you'll see more of that direction coming this week.
You think he should keep playing more and more as this preseason goes on?
I think so, yes. I'm always a believer in that, right? You know, he's told you, they've told you. First off, their O-line is not bad. That's a good group they played.
Yeah.
They should be better than that as we continue to go here through the preseason. But no, I think they got to figure out, one, what works for him on the field. Two, he's got to figure out like kind of the things you said. How can I move? How can I protect myself, right? And start to push the envelope on some of the more difficult throws and get some success that way. But yeah, I'd like to see him play all 3 games for sure.
Israel DMS 7 was seeing some of the same things you saw with the Jets defensive line. Thoughts on your guy to watch, Jermaine Johnson and the New York Jets D-line dismantling the Panthers? I know it's only preseason, but sheesh. So you already talked about it a little bit, but I feel like having seen this part of the team, and you saw them up close and personal, I feel like you're getting more and more confident about what the Jets can be.
I am. I mean, I don't expect the offense to hit, full systems go week 1. But when you have a defense like that, I sit there and go, well, they don't have to hit full system go week 1. They might have the type of defense here that certainly gives Rodgers and Garrett Wilson and everybody a little bit of a, wiggle room, breathing room to kind of get it going. I mean, it's insane. I would have a hard time coming up with a defense that has more depth and talent on it than the New York Jets right now. It's up there with anybody in football. When you start to talk about Bryce Huff as your third-string defensive end or edge guy, and I'd go, damn, Bryce Huff. I mean, he'd be a top-tier pass rusher on some teams in football. And he's coming up. He's third in the batting order. Yes, I'm a believer in what they look like. And I think what puts it over the top to our question there is the young guys. You always want to see, is the young guys going to develop? Are they going to take that next step? Jermaine Johnson has popped in both games. He's popped a number of times in that game. And then, of course, so did the first-round pick McDonald. Will McDonald was back there. Solomon Thomas was back there. I mean, it was a good day, I think, for the whole group all around, and they're dangerous.
Yeah, making life very difficult for the quarterbacks for the Carolina Panthers, and that was kind of a theme, I think, throughout preseason week number 1, is that the quarterbacks didn't have a whole lot of time, and maybe the offensive lines are behind the defensive lines right now.
100%. One of the themes I looked at, one of the themes of the weekend was if it was 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1, everybody ran the ball, and I called out every time I said, they won't fucking get it. You watch. The defensive lines are always more advanced than these. The offensive line hasn't had enough of, whoa, they're coming off the ball at full speed, total aggression moments yet. So they don't know. They're not ready for prime time in that department yet. They need a few more of those experiences to go, oh, wait, that's 4th and 1 intensity. Like, right? You can't emulate that in practice, especially the way the rules are now. The coaches are scared to just let things fly that way. Running lanes were not, seen a whole lot. Yeah. And, the defenses are certainly a little bit ahead on the defensive line position.
C.J. Stroud did not have a whole lot of time to throw the football either. He was 2 for 4, just played 2 drives, 13 yards, threw a pick, was sacked once, ran a couple times just because he had to scramble on those. Yeah, he was under duress most of the time he was out there.
First off, again, we're not going to judge any of these guys too hard. Yeah, the support, hey, it's their first time out there. He looked good. He looks the part. His mechanics are great. The 2 completions he had, he threw it well. The interception was stupid. But the main point was, he had no chance. I mean, Bryce Young got to sit there and pat the ball and then throw it. C.J. Stroud, it was like, forget about C.J. Stroud. The star of the show is Keon White on the Patriots and Anthony Jennings coming off the edge. I mean, they were in the backfield in a split second. I mean, Keon White looked like he was Reggie White in that game. So C.J. Stroud had absolutely no chance to survive. I didn't really understand, their approach a little bit. I would have done some max protection stuff. I would have done, the throw Davis Mills got where it was a play action. He threw a little slant over the middle. I would have done that with C.J. Stroud. They kind of put him in a spot of no chance to succeed with that group he had in front of him. Tunzel didn't play. Titus Howard's hurt right now. So tackle's going to be a thing to watch here, for the Houston Texans.
For some of it, you just want them to get out there and just feel what it's like, right?
Yeah.
I don't think we want to over-extrapolate too much on what the numbers are, what's happened here in preseason game number 1, because sometimes you don't want to over-extrapolate on what happens in the first 3 regular season games of the year, let alone a practice game. You know what I mean? It's just like we can be fooled by regular season games as much as anything. So You just try to see, do they, like you said, do they look the part? Do they look like they belong in the NFL? And for C.J. Stroud, you thought he looked like that.
He looks like it's not going to be too much for him. No, definitely not. Now they just gotta find a way to help him out. And yeah, hey, preseason's tough. Some teams play starter, some teams don't. Some teams come out with, hey, we're going to be real conservative and play it this way. The other team comes out and goes, oh, we're going to play a little more advanced and, maybe throw a curveball or two at you that you're not expecting. So that's where, it's all learning experience for both sides here, and especially for the young quarterbacks. And that's why we need preseason football. This is why I've argued with Florio before that preseason can't go away. Or we're just going to waste people's money in the first few weeks of a regular season and we're going to watch bad football and people not be as healthy and safe because they didn't get these reps that are very important to feel comfortable out there on the football field.
So we're going to withhold grades on the wow meter on Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud. We didn't get to see enough,
Well, no, I mean, if we have a 1 to 5 wow meter, yeah, I mean, both of them for right now are going to get 2s. If we had to throw a 2 out there, but that doesn't mean
But we don't want
crap.
that on the record. We don't want a 2 on the record.
Well, why didn't you say this before we did the damn segment of the wow meter? Now you're going to come out with that?
I forgot that we were doing the wow meter actually until this moment. Okay,
it would be a 2 on the wow meter if we're going to be fair to the exercise right here. And you're right. It has nothing to do with them. They weren't given a jumping board to wow us.
Yeah.
Right?
So what we'll do is we'll throw out the lowest wow grades, though. That's what we'll do in this class.
Okay.
Like as the season goes on,
right.
Like if you perform better than a 2 wow meter, we'll get rid of that too.
Okay. Also, hey,
I just don't want it to be on the permanent record.
Will Anderson wowed me a little bit.
Yeah, so this wow meter could actually play right here.
I mean, again, I don't give a shit about the stat. You know that. I just want to see, what does he look like getting off the ball? Mm-hmm. What does he look like as far as his motor? What does he look like when he makes contact with one of these big offensive linemen? Does he move him? Does he get stalemated? Whatever. He looked damn good to me. He looked a little more explosive than I was expecting. So, kudos to him. Hopefully they got the right thing. Again, I know I was low on him, but I'm rooting for him. I know what kind of guy he is. And the other guy I just say to watch out for there, the Texans, is Greenard. Jonathan Greenard, number 52, their other edge guy.
Okay.
He's been their best edge guy in Houston. They've stunk, so nobody knows his name. It's a contract year, I believe. This is a year where I could see him. We could all be sitting here in December going, you know who's got 12 sacks or 13 sacks? This number 52 on the Texans. He has that type of talent. So that's exciting because now they're in a system that's going to allow them to just go get the quarterback. That could be fun to see.
Drafted out of Florida.
Florida guy,
Greenard, and third rounder in 2020.
Yeah, right. He's a good player. He is. He's a good player, and I think he's about to turn the corner and become a big-time pass rusher.
So how many wows for Will, though?
I'd give him a 4.
4 wows.
I'll give him a 4 wow. Wowometer.
Wowometer. Okay, well done. Anthony Richardson, 7 of 12, 67 yards. How many on the wowometer for him?
I'm going to give him a 5. Okay?
Whoa.
The FF.
Wow.
The FF
already a perfect score on the wowometer.
He wowed the shit out of me.
Okay.
I don't even care. The interception was wowing. What? His feet were cockeyed and he was falling backwards and he threw like 100-mile-per-hour fastball. It was a little off target. But also, Shane Steichen, he even admitted there was a communication thing outside. Those are things like, I'm not worried about that. I think they brought a blitz that they probably haven't really talked about yet. So you're not prepared. This is what the preseason does. These are coaching moments, right?
Happen,
exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Right. Now we got a moment to put it on a reel. You'll remember it because something bad happened. He won't make that mistake again.
Yeah.
But, I mean, just from that play alone, that was like, whoa, holy crap. Did he really throw it that hard from that position and just sling it out there? Shoo! I mean, it was amazing. He looks amazing.
He does.
Okay? He's a great God.
When he puts his shoulder down, you do worry about the defender. Like I did at least. I was like, I hope he's okay.
He's I'd actually never even thought about him.
Yeah.
It just says it all.
No.
Even with Josh Allen, I'm like, ooh, watch it, Josh. With this guy, he turned the corner once or twice and put his shoulder down, and I was like, it didn't even cross my mind. I was like, ooh, is he going to run him over? It really was.
Yeah.
But passing mechanics, better. Definitely has cleaned up his motion and made it a little tighter. It's a little sidearmy.
Definitely was.
Right?
But some of those I just wondered if they were the plays because there are a lot of quick hitters.
There is. It's going to be a part of the RPOs, the quick passes. You got to drop your arm angle. I think he's down there a little too much even when the pocket's normal. And he'll get out of that. He threw a few balls that were too high because he's he's sidearming, he's underneath it, right? So, like, my dad and I would call that, like, dipping under the ball. They dip under it. So, when you throw, you kind of want to be on here and, your elbow up on the ball and some here. Him, and there's a few other quarterbacks we'll talk about, he was kind of underneath, and then he doesn't get totally follow through. You watch, and he'll throw it, and he kind of leans back after the throw is over, which you go, no, he didn't get through the ball. It's like if you were hitting a driver at the driving range, and instead of getting the full follow through, you hit it and then kind of go backwards, right? You don't know where the ball's going to go sometimes when that happens. But either way, for the most part, some high-level throws, release quick, wow velocity, and then really, in my mind, had 2 drops. His most impressive throw of the day was a really deep crosser to Alec Pierce, who lost it upon hitting the ground. But it was right on the money with nice touch. He had another play where he had a little pressure in the pocket, and he threw a comeback out to the left side to Pierce. It would have been a tough catch, but he dropped it. But just between that and, of course, the running and just the look itself, he wowed me 5 times.
To a 5 already.
To a 5er. And he's wearing number 5.
And he's wearing number 5. And then Gardner Minshew, who's wearing number 10, double that. He was 6 for 6, 72 yards. So they got a pretty good situation there at quarterback for a team that has struggled now to kind of find their quarterback. They got the future, and they got a definitely reliable back-end starter.
Definitely, that's right. They got somebody there that if he is hurt for a few games or whatever, you got somebody that can win you a few football games in Gardner Minshew. He has the best supporting cast of these quarterbacks we've talked about, right? This is where I would get into it. One, he's got a defense that's top 5-ish, definite top 10-ish in football. So that's going to be good. Their O-line, right, we know it was a down year for them last year, but I think where it stands right now, I'd still take them, of course, over the Houston Texans, and I'm going to take them over the Panthers as well for right now, right? I know the Panthers, they're kind of an up-and-coming offensive line, but I'm that. And then you talk about, okay, Michael Pittman and Alec Pierce, and then, at some point I think Jonathan Taylor will be back in the mix here, and I hope so. But that's where you look at that, and then, of course, he doesn't have to be relied on like the other two. They're going to have to do it with their throwing and decision-making in the pocket. This guy's got a little wiggle room because of the running, and that's going to help him, slow the curve down and the learning curve a little.
I'm sensing you may be taking an over on a Indianapolis Colts win total.
I don't even know
right
where
now.
they are in that whole conversation. But, yeah, I mean, they're just, they're one of those teams. And with this kind of quarterback and this kind of skill set, I could see them hanging in there and being a little more competitive than maybe the public wants to give them credit for. Yo, thanks for watching, homies. I appreciate it. As always, the NFL season is right around the corner. So now it's your turn to hit subscribe to Chris Simms Unbuttoned. If you want to get all the training camp battles, preseason film review, playoff predictions, and much, much more, you know where to find it. It's right here, Chris Simms Unbuttoned. Please subscribe. Thanks again for watching. Peace out, homies. See you soon.